Welcome into the college football every game on the board podcast, simulcast live on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Our closer, next guest up, Mid-Major Matt. Mid-Major Matt, welcome into the pod. How are you?
I'd say I'm more of a finesse closer than like a Mariano Rivera type that just blows you away. I'm trying to think of who succeeded as a finesse closer, but I'm not the fastball guy. I kind of get you out in different ways.
Okay, that works. We'll take it any way we can get it here on the Sports Memo podcast. As long as you're giving more winners than losers, Matt, I'm okay with it.
I had another winning Saturday, and we gave a bunch of winners last week on the podcast. The Buffalo team total, a couple of other team totals. Those are some nice winners. Hey, Ball State won, so I won our little in-show wager with Ralph all the way back in week 1 of Maction. So I'm a pretty happy guy right now.
Good. We got the Maction championship game this weekend, Ball State Buffalo. I know that's not one of the games you're talking about, but any quick thoughts on that to start it off?
I actually think Ball State could cover that. I think Ball State's offense could keep them in. Now, the problem is they can't afford too many punts, but I actually think Ball State could hang in there. I know it's not 14 the number, but I think Ball State's offense is in a good enough groove. Look, I was worried about Huntley not playing at running back, but they've been pretty good without him.
Yeah, I think it could be a good game. I don't know. I think Buffalo rolls them in the MAC championship game, guys. But we are going 237, 238 down to the end of the card. So the bottom of the Saturday card here with Mid-Major Matt. We'll also bring in Robbie Vino to do the middle section of the college football card, 2 o'clock Pacific time. So if you're around, come join us live in the chat box on the WagerTalk YouTube channel. Jimmy, welcome in. Proud Babylonian. David H. We got Shauna, welcome in. And Johnny Outlaw joining us live right now. If you're watching on replay, that's cool too. Feel free to drop a comment below and smash the like button if you are liking the content. And also if you're watching on Periscope via Twitter, that works too. Please smash the like button. So let's start off here. 237, 238, Matt. 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. A good one. I like this one. AAC on ABC. We got Tulsa in Cincinnati. 47 being the total with Cincinnati. Mostly minus 14s. There are some minus 14 in the hooks out there with the Bearcats hosting Tulsa for the AAC Championship, Mid-Major Matt.
Yeah, these two should have played last week, remember? And there were some COVID issues that canceled the game. And of course, I believe they're not the ones who did the coin flip. That was the Mountain West. So Cincinnati's the home team. There's only 1,500 fans, so it's not really a home field advantage in this game. And when you look, you've got two teams who could be potentially rusty. Tulsa coming off of 15 days rest, essentially. One of the things I liked about, and you know that when I do these things, I like to look at the quarter bets. Tulsa's dead last in the country. That doesn't include the teams who aren't playing, the two teams that aren't playing. Tulsa's dead last in points scored per first quarter at 1.7. They have not scored a first quarter point in each of their last 3 games and have scored 12 first quarter points all year long. It's for some reason, it's been talked about in a lot of their broadcasts, like the second quarter, and all of a sudden the offense flips or something. This is a defense that's ranked 22nd in total defense. They allow just 19.9 points per game. They've been amazing defensively, and they've done it against some of the biggest offenses in the AAC as well. And then you look at Cincinnati, they've been off almost a month. They've had some COVID issues, and you have to kind of read through the coaching quotes to see. I don't know if we're going to get a full roster when it comes to Cincinnati, and we don't know all along who has been the most hard-hit positions when it comes to Cincinnati's COVID issues. They're averaging almost 41 points per game, 15 points allowed. Drew, I actually like a first quarter under here. We have a Tulsa team that doesn't score in the first quarter and a Cincinnati team that's been off for almost a month. So to me, I think a first quarter under here. We get a sense as to how both teams will play this game. The total going up is interesting because I would lean to the under at 47. But of course, it was 45.5 just a couple of days ago. So I don't know why the move towards the over here. To me, a first quarter under seems like the best player here because Tulsa struggles out of the gate and Cincinnati's defense has been really good this year as well.
Mid-Major Matt, what do you think about just Tulsa's defensive unit versus Cincinnati's offensive unit? Who do you think wins that battle down the stretch? Like a Tulsa team total? If I made you bet it, would you lean towards the over or the under?
You mean a Cincinnati team total?
Yeah.
They're 29.5. I would lean to the under. But I've been a guy who's disrespected Desmond Ridder all season, and he's played really well. Now, I still don't love Desmond Ridder as a quarterback, and I don't know how much they'll be able to get from the ground game with Dokes and Ford, but I would lean under on Cincinnati's team total. It's 29.5. It could actually be more since the total keeps going up. But yeah, if you put my feet to the fire, I would take the under on the Cincinnati team total. But I also like that first quarter under to hopefully you get a rusty Cincinnati against a Tulsa team that just doesn't do well coming out of the gates.
Yeah, good first quarter analysis there. I mean, Tulsa, it's crazy what they've been able to do this season later in the games with the slow starts as well. So also that, I think a lot of that has to do, I mean, it's pretty obvious with quarterback play. They really don't just wake up until the second half.
Yeah, Zach Smith is hot and cold. I mean, they have a decent running game. They lost one of their running backs before the season even began, and Zach Smith's got good wide receivers, but it's just he's hot and cold. So you'll know early. If they come out and they start scoring points early, maybe you want to get a live bet. If they figure out their first quarter demons, maybe you want a live bet on Tulsa to cover. I don't know, if after a touchdown, maybe it's a 7-point dog, I would think. So we'll see. But I have a feeling, playing the trends, they're going to be rusty, especially coming off 15 days off.
Good stuff, Mid-Major Matt, as we head down the line here, going simultaneously on CBS, 8 o'clock Eastern, 5 o'clock Pacific. Number 1 ranked Alabama Crimson Tide versus number 7 ranked the Florida Gators. We're seeing Alabama minus 17-point favorites, 74.5 being the total, Mid-Major Matt. This in Mercedes-Benz Stadium, Atlanta, Georgia. What are you thinking here for the SEC championship game?
I don't know. It seems like Alabama's a shoo-in to win this game. Oh, okay. That's what you don't pay me to do jokes on here. But, I mean, I don't know what Florida's mindset's going to be. I really don't. They can't make the playoffs now, all because they threw a shoe last week. Florida can't make the playoffs. So what's this team's mindset right now? I don't know. And if you're even the slightest bit off, Alabama's going to kill you. The bet here, as it always has been, is the first half team total over for Alabama. It's 23.5. They're averaging 29.1 points per first half, 34.7 in their last 3 games. They have no scruples whatsoever. They will come out. They will score early. They will score often. Florida's defense stinks. So to me, 23.5 first half over is like a 5% play that I'm essentially just going to give out here, which is fine. But like you blindly bet Alabama first halves, it feels like, and Florida's got the offense. So I'll take that part of it out and just say Alabama over 23.5 first half over. There's your analysis. I mean, there's not much more to it. Alabama's going to win this game. They can name their score. Florida's focused. Maybe they cover. They're probably not going to be focused, and their defense stinks, and Alabama's going to score over probably the 45.5 too. But I like that first half number because Alabama just they hit the ground running right away usually.
No argument. I mean, the trend is your friend. Alabama in the first half has been cashing, but really, I almost think it's not overblown because it's a great trend here, and it's been a great bet. But Alabama just betting Alabama overall has been a great trend. I mean, to see these teams that go 9-10-0 in their ATS records, also 7-2 or 8-2 on the season. You normally don't see that, Mid-Major Matt, with these big name programs, top 5 teams, because everybody knows about it. Therefore, the odds makers put the tax on it by this time of the year. But for some reason this year, it doesn't matter. Alabama's just steamrolling people.
Yeah, the first half, second half, the first half game lines dichotomy for Alabama is ridiculous. They know it would be like a 27-point game and it'll be like a 17 halftime, which is not how it should be. But I mean, it's a trend. So you play, and look, if Florida is focused, they can hang a little bit of time. That's why you take them out of the equation, unless you want to play the first half over. But then you're counting on Florida doing a lot of the heavy lifting as well. Besides Alabama, I'd rather just play the known commodity. Alabama first half team total over. It's 23.5. I mean, I like it.
We got Johnny Outlaw in here saying he got Bama minus 12 before it skyrocketed. Mid-Major Matt, I was watching at Circa the games this past Saturday, and before the SEC games, the Florida game kicked off. It was Alabama minus 12. They put out the championship spreads, and that's what it was. Johnny Outlaw jumped on that. And sure enough, we've seen a 5-point move after one game. Now, granted, Florida did lose to LSU, but I don't know how much I factor that in. I mean, that was a terrible spot for Florida. Are you factoring in that loss a lot into your handicap here?
No. Alabama's just better than everybody else. They're going to win. They flex their muscle. There's no weird focus issues. Nick Saban's going to be there. To me, it's just I'm not going to touch the game spread. I'm just not. Alabama should be able to cover that spread. If Florida's focused, then maybe they make it interesting. Leave me the Alabama team totals and I'll go on my way.
We got Ashley Waite in the house from the island of Hawaii. Thanks for joining us, Ashley. And also, guys out there, girls, feel free to join us in the chat box. Let us know where you're watching from. Anywhere cool works. Abby Jackson, welcome in. She's looking at Bama first half, solid gold every time out. Shauna as well. A lot going on in the chat box. Thanks for chiming in here, guys, with what you're looking to bet. It looks like Alabama seems to be a theme across the board here as we head out to the Mountain West up next, mid-major, Matt, 4:15 Eastern, 1:15 Pacific kick here on Fox. Boise State versus San Jose State. We're seeing Boise State minus 6.5 point favorites, 55.5 being the total here, Matt.
So the question is San Jose State ready for a game like this? I mean, look, it's not, in past years, this game might have had more fanfare because it's a conference title game. I feel like there's not as much because there was only 6 games for the Mountain West this year. So to me, the question is, are they ready for the big stage? Now, remember, they won the coin toss, which meant they would have been home, but they're not home. They're playing in Las Vegas, where they just played the week before. So they don't even get the home field advantage for this game. Boise is, they're coming off a solid win in Wyoming, 17-9, third straight road game for them. They're a team that scores a lot of points in the first half, 21.7 points per game. They're 14th overall in the country. The point total for that is 14.5 if you're interested. And you look at San Jose State, they're coming off that nice win against Nevada. The defense has not allowed more than 24 points this season, but they've gotten a lot of the weaker Mountain West teams when it came to the offense. So I don't know how much of that is San Jose State's defense is good or the opponents they've played are not good. The offense has scored 30 or more in 3 straight for their last 5. But then you've got the dreaded Brent Brennan is being mentioned for the Arizona job. And I think he could be focused on a game like this. I don't have a real huge feeling on this game, Drew. I don't know if you do. I lean Boise State here, but I don't know. San Jose State has put up good numbers. The question is, how hollow are they against the weaker parts of the Mountain West?
Mid-major, Matt, I like San Jose State here. You bring up the Brett Brennan thing. That always worries me this time of year. And there's really nothing these programs like San Jose State can do just because, you can't blame the guy for kind of looking at more money for himself and his family. But so I do kind of worry about that in terms of their locker room. But this San Jose State team, we talk about Alabama being a great bet, mid-major, Matt. San Jose State's depending on what number you bought them at throughout the week, undefeated. They haven't lost an ATS bet all season long. And if you're new to sports betting, ATS means against the spread. And you're right. Their schedule was a little bit more difficult. I mean, beating Nevada down 30-20. They look good in that one, especially in the second half there. And Boise State, a little bit overpriced. I mean, their offense really hasn't been all that, especially last time out against Wyoming, losing back-to-back games against the spread. Also that BYU game. Now, granted, San Jose State hasn't played a team like BYU, but I would actually give the advantage, especially on the defensive front, to San Jose State. Brett Brennan, the way he's recruited there, you can really tell a big difference in the Spartan program. So I like San Jose State plus the points.
I don't have a good feeling on this game at all. So to me, I'm gonna pass on it. I just, Boise State's a really good first half team. San Jose State could be really good, Drew. I just don't know enough about them. I haven't watched San Jose State yet this year. I've seen Boise State. I watched that BYU game. They looked outclassed in that game. Of course, BYU and San Jose State are 2 different teams. So I don't really have a feel for this game. So, I lean Boise, but once again, nothing's going to make my card in this game.
Mid-major, Matt, we're heading to the SEC up next. Texas A&M at Tennessee. A&M, of course, having their eyes on a playoff berth, but they're having to win by 2 touchdowns here. Minus 14-point road favorites. 51 the total in Neyland Stadium.
So put up Shauna's thing real quick when she asked about, or when she or he, whoever they are, asked about the prop bets. I mean, I don't take prop bets that are minus 140, minus 150, minus 160 and up. I don't. It's all about comfortability with regards to whoever is making the bets. If you feel comfortable taking a minus 150 you think is going to win and you're willing to throw a little bit more money on it, then do that. If you're not as comfortable about the price or the bet you're making, then you stay away from it. Team totals can be very heavily juiced. There are certain books out there who don't move the numbers, They just move the juice. So that's a personal preference thing, really. It's all about how comfortable you are, and if you want to increase your bet based off the price as opposed to just flat betting everything and getting less for it. Like if you flat bet a minus 150 and a minus 110, then it makes a difference for you. If you adjust your bet based on the juice, then it doesn't make as much of a difference. This game, Drew, to me, the handicap is somewhat simple here. Texas A&M needs this game. They need to win by 100. They need to win by 1,000,000, probably. I mean, even if they win by 1,000,000. Now, remember, this is a noon kickoff on Saturday, so it's going to go before Alabama. It's going to go before Clemson, and it's going to go before Notre Dame, obviously. And I don't know what time the kickoff is for the Big Ten game. That's got to be a night game. So it's going to go off beforehand. So there is no opportunity for Texas A&M to basically be like, hey, we have nothing to play for. They have to win this game. They have to put up 70 in the process. When you look at Tennessee, though, I mean, Tennessee's defense is okay. Their offense isn't very good. Harrison Bailey and JT Shrout are going to get the start. They beat up on Vanderbilt. Big whoop. Everybody beats up on Vanderbilt. The other thing that's interesting here is Tennessee's kicker opted out, and their punter has been their kicker, and he has not attempted a field goal yet. So that's an important thing to me. I never like laying this many points on the road with anybody. We've talked about it. It's a personal preference thing. But if there was ever an opportunity, A&M needs to name their score. They need to put up 60 or 70. If the weather's good, the team total, I think it's 31.5. You could consider a Texas A&M team total over here because they have to put on style points. So I lean to Texas A&M on the road, minus 14. I never like taking that many points, but to me, Texas A&M over 31.5 points is probably the way to go. They have to put up 40 or more.
Mid-major Matt, we got Ashley saying, Mac Jones on a future. Do you have are you betting any futures for the Heisman Trophy?
So can I say this first? And I know we don't have a ton of time, but I think Devonta Smith needs to get more love, and I hope he at least gets to go to New York. And B, I know it's never going to happen, but Grayson McCall should go to New York. Look at what Coastal Carolina did. The kid's a freshman. He's putting up ridiculous numbers at quarterback. Like, I think Grayson McCall should go to New York. I know he never will because Zach Wilson and Smith and Mac Jones and Trevor Lawrence and all the other quarterbacks for all the Power 5 schools, they're all ahead of him. But, I mean, look at Grayson McCall's numbers this year. I really just don't, Don't you think Grayson McCall's done such good things? They've won legit games this year. Yes, they've gotten fat and happy on the Sun Belt at times, but they beat BYU. They beat Kansas. That's a Power 5 win, granted a low Power 5 win. But I wish Grayson McCall would get more love. I know he won't, but Devonta Smith should get more love too. It shouldn't just be a quarterback award. So that's my rant there.
No, I'm with you, mid-major Matt. I mean, I think actually this weekend is a huge, huge game for Grayson McCall. I mean, I think he's got a tough Louisiana team here that played him, right down to the end in the last game in the regular season. Now, talking about a betting perspective, and this isn't one of the games either, but it's the Sun Belt right up your alley. I like Louisiana Lafayette, the Raging Cajuns there, which would, I guess kind of quasi knock out him from the Heisman. But if he was able to win that, I agree with your argument. I mean, just talking about Heisman here, mid-major Matt, I think this is a great year to include guys like McCall. I'll throw out another name, Patterson for Buffalo, the running back, what he was able to do and almost breaking the record there. And who knows what he's going to do this weekend against Ball State in a controlled atmosphere. I would look for him to go off again here against that Ball State defense. So a guy like him getting able to go to New York instead of just, the quarterback on the best team. I feel like that's a little, I don't know, not that it's boring. It's just Patterson would be awesome from Buffalo, what he's been able to do.
And how many good defenses has Alabama faced this year? I mean, not to say, now look, you can't say Coastal Carolina has, but I'm just saying, like, all those guys are putting up great numbers against the lesser SEC defenses, and they could just be making everybody look foolish, but it's a down year for the SEC this year, I would say. It's Alabama, it's Florida to some extent, and then it's everybody else in Texas A&M. Okay, but like you could just throw everybody else in a hat outside of Vanderbilt and you'd come up with the same team, it feels like. So, I'm not a huge fan of the SEC, obviously being the mid-major guy, but like Mac Jones is really good. Devonta Smith is really good, but who are they really doing it against?
That's a tough question in terms of it's a down year for the SEC because it's only conference play. So is Alabama that good or is the SEC a little bit down? Maybe it's a little bit of both. But that's actually an interesting point. It will be interesting this bowl season when some of these conferences that only played within their conference, how they do outside of conference. Remember the Sun Belt beating up on the Big 12 before. So I'm kind of looking to bet Sun Belt teams in the bowl games.
By the way, Corey's right. My man Marks, Kevin Marks for Buffalo. I'd actually rather have him than Jared Patterson. I think Kevin Marks could be a better NFL pro than Patterson. More so because of Patterson's size. Marks' size is a little more NFL ready. I love Kevin Marks. It's just he gets the second helpings after Patterson just beats everybody up.
Mid-major Matt, getting back to the games here. We got Ole Miss, LSU up next, 78 being the total. Talk about those SEC defenses here. 2.5. That's the hottie toddy from Ole Miss laying in Baton Rouge.
All right, so this is where I need you to come in because this is more your alley. Now, Ole Miss seems to have like a timing offense. They've been off since November 28th, and they've won 3 straight, and they're playing good football. But what does the time off do? And my question for all these games are, what's your motivation? What's Ole Miss's motivation? Lane Kiffin will have them ready. I think Lane Kiffin's one of those coaches who will have his team ready. And then you got LSU. Did they win their Super Bowl last week and they don't care now? I know they're home, but they won their Super Bowl last week. They're probably going to play in a bowl game, maybe. I'm guessing, unless they opt out. So my question is, where's everybody's mindset in this game? And I hate trying to figure out 18-year-old kids. So this was an easy stay away for me. It could go over. Neither defense is very good, but you've got a timing offense in Ole Miss. It's been off for a couple weeks against an LSU team that may not be there because they just won their Super Bowl against Florida. So I don't know if you have anything to add there, but I can't guess what these kids are going to say.
Yeah, well, first off, I hate those handicaps as well, like guessing, is this the time that they show up or are they not motivated? I'm not all that good with it. I think that's a tough handicap in itself, mid-major Matt. But talking about particularly the Ole Miss side with the rust, I mean, their offense has been very good. I mean, their quarterbacks are good. And then Lane Kiffin as a play caller, one of the best in college football. And I would just go back to, even his time in Conference USA, he performed well, the offenses with extended preparation time, meaning in bowl games off of a bye week, always some new wrinkles there on offense that the defense hasn't seen via, getting ready on film. So I would actually look at that as more of a buy on, but this is a game I haven't bet as of now.
Right, I agree. It's an easy pass.
Guys, we got one game left here on the College Football Every Game on the Board podcast. We got one section left after this, 2:00 Pacific time with Robbie Vino. So come back and join us for the middle section of the Saturday card and the top of the card, Friday's games and the top of Saturday's games. We broke down actually yesterday with Teddy Covers, but now we're talking with Mid-Major Matt on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. Matt Josephs is his last name on sportsmemo.com, so you don't get confused. And actually, college football this season, guys, he's hitting 59%. That's not cherry picking numbers. That's 75 and 52, so some pretty good volume as well. This season in college football, team totals 63%. That's 39 and 22. And college basketball off to a good start as well, 56%, 36 and 28. So check him out, sportsmemo.com. All of his plays up there. Packages available. We got a bunch of them here. 7 3-day, 30-day, 1 year, all access. It all works. So you can also get his bowl game special, all access for discounted price there at sportsmemo.com. Follow him on Twitter at Mid-Major Matt. Guys, if you're liking the content, please smash the like button. Come join us in the chat box. We'll get out your best bets here to the watchers. We got a best bet and one game left to break down on Championship Saturday. Talk about a game that's not necessarily for the championship, Mid-Major Matt, but we got Missouri, Mississippi State here. Pick 'em -1, depending where you're shopping. That's Missouri as pick 'em or small road favorite in Starkville, 49.5 being the total, Matt.
Another game. I mean, we don't know what Missouri is going to have. They expect to have 56 scholarship players available. Their whole defensive line is questionable. On offense, Micah Wilson's out. Jalen Knox is questionable. They actually should be more motivated because they've had a good season. On the other side, you've got a coach who said this week, quote, "We've created one of the most joyless seasons on earth," end quote, in Mike Leach. They're averaging 23 rushing yards per game. It's a lean to Missouri, but once again, drew an easy pass. I don't know who's available for Missouri, and the way this season's gone for Mississippi State, I see them laying down for this game. So I would lean Missouri and maybe wait till closer to Saturday to see some hints as to who's available and who's traveling for this game. But once again, I can't imagine Mississippi State getting up for this game, and I need to know who's on Missouri first. So to me, it's a lean to Missouri, but I'm waiting till Saturday to fire to see if we can find out who's traveling for the game.
We got Mid-Major Matt's best bet coming up at Mid-Major Matt. Some guys asking for your Maction play here. We got any other small conference games you wanted to throw out there? UAB Marshall. Anything you think the viewers would like off the college football card?
UAB Marshall's interesting because UAB's got the COVID issues, and Marshall's coming off the head-scratching loss to Rice when Rice had their backup quarterback a couple weeks ago. I don't know. I didn't think UAB. Thankfully, Rice covered last week against UAB for me, so that was good. I don't know who's available for UAB. That's more of a we'll figure out as we get closer. The best bet, easy, Drew. It's the Alabama first half team total over 23.5, and a sprinkle on the game over 45.5 because I think Alabama scores a ton this one.
Okay, so just to go on record, what's the best bet for the section?
Alabama over 23.5, first half team total over.
Okay, Alabama first half team total over for Mid-Major Matt. Mid-Major Matt, good stuff as always, guys. We went over the records there. He's killing it in college basketball out the gate and college football as well, a 59% for the season. No cherry picking numbers from the beginning of the season. So check them out for bowl season. Mid-Major Matt, anything else you want to throw out before we shut this down?
Nope. That's about it.
All right. Well, best of luck to you, man. And guys, thanks for joining us. And we'll be back with Robbie Vino at 2:00 Pacific to finish off the college football.